What's up, guys? This is the study guide review video for the Unit 5 test, and this is our last test before the end of the semester. So make sure you guys study hard for this one, because this one will definitely have a pretty big impact on your grade. All right, so let's get started. So number one says, what were the 7 major causes of the Great Depression? So you guys, you guys learned these through a reading and also through the Great Depression simulation that we did, but let's just go through these really quick. So number one, we're going to put the stock market crash. Oops, stock market crash. Oops. Number two, bank failures. Remember, these banks are failing due to bank runs. Dust Bowl. We learned about the Dust Bowl a couple of times this semester. People were buying things on credit. We'll just put buying on credit. So rather than paying for cash for things, they were borrowing the money to pay that back later. The Federal Reserve made mistakes. This was with Andrew Mellon, and he could have perhaps made other decisions than what he did. The Hawley-Smoot tariff. This is also from the reading. Smoot tariff. I think that's right. Nope. Tariff. Okay. And then the last one, gap between the rich and the poor. Gap between the rich and the poor. This gap was increasing throughout the 20s. All right, number two, what were the 3 effects of the Great Depression? You could put multiple things, but for the test, you're going to know, or going to need to know, that children, let's try that again. Children were orphaned. They had poor diets. They were not eating well, of course. Also know that people lost their jobs, so they became unemployed. The number that you will need to know for the test is 25%. 25% of the American population, or of those that could work, were unemployed. That's a huge, huge, huge number. That's massive. And then also people lost their homes, so they became homeless. Number 3, during the Great Depression, prior to the creation of the FDIC, when banks collapsed, what was the impact on the people? They lost their money. There was nothing set in place, no safety net, so they just lost their money, all the money that they put in their banks. Shanty towns named after the presidents, that should say president, were known as what? They were known as Hoovervilles. The reason why is because they blamed Hoover for the Depression. Number 5, what was the first major action Roosevelt took as president? If you guys remember from the simulation, he wanted to fix the banks. That was his first priority. Number 6, FDR's programs to help ease the effects of the Depression as a collection were called. This is huge. This is one of the biggest things ever in history that you will need to know. The New Deal. This was the New Deal. Now, after the New Deal, the government's role in people's lives, now the government's going to have to, or is going to have a larger effect. The government's going to be more involved overall. Number 7, what was the causes of the Dust Bowl and what were its effects? So causes, just list these out. High winds. Remember, this is in the Midwest. High winds, overproduction of crops. They're producing those crops and sucking the nutrients out of those crops, or sucking the nutrients out of the soil, so the soil becomes looser. Drought, so no rain. You have those 3, you'll be pretty solid. Number 8, Dust Bowl refugees were given what name? Well, they were called Okies, and they were moving to California. We went over that also in the that Great Depression simulation that we did. Number 9, what was Hoover's view on how the federal government should aid Americans? He did not think that America should help them. Remember, he believed in rugged individualism, meaning that people should pull themselves up by themselves. They should pull themselves up by their own bootstraps rather than having the government help them. What is direct relief? When the government helps people. This is really the government aiding the poor, especially with jobs. So they are helping the American public. This is opposite of what Hoover would do. Hoover would not help. Number 11, places where unemployed and homeless people could go to receive a free meal would be bread lines, soup kitchens, soup kitchens. Number 12, World War I vets who marched on Washington, hoping to receive their bonus checks early, were known as the Bonus Army. Or you could put bonus marchers. Number 13, unlucky number 13. During the Great Depression, the overall unemployment rate was what percentage? If you go back up here, we said that it was 25%. Let's put that there, 25%. 14, what was the first thing Roosevelt did when he came to office? We're going to put bank holidays. Remember, he wanted to fix the bank, so he would do that through bank holidays. FDR directly spoke to the American people to let them know what he was trying to accomplish, and these speeches were known as fireside chats. And he would do this on the radio, and just incredibly effective during the Great Depression. Number 16, Franklin Roosevelt's political philosophy was that the government should help people in need. So he was a huge believer in direct relief. 17, during the Depression, why did many state governors declare bank holidays? Well, if the bank is closed, then people will not be able to get their money out of the bank, so no more bank runs. Another way you can say this is that it just prevented bank runs. Not bank runs, bank runs. 18, what was the second New Deal? So for the second New Deal, you can just put this was a chance for FDR to basically show his critics what he was all about. And this was just more relief. So we have the first New Deal and what I call the newer New Deal, or the second New Deal. This is just another opportunity for FDR to basically help the American public. And this is kind of going to counter some of those critics that he had. So under the second New Deal, we'll see the WPA, we'll see the Social Security Act, so programs such as those. Number 19, why was FDR's court packing plan a serious mistake? He was going against the Constitution. Or we'll say he was challenging the Constitution. And this is going to make him look corrupt. And overall, FDR does not appear to be a very corrupt president at all. He's trying to help people. He's helping people, those that are in need. But now it looks like FDR is really doing what he wants by putting an extra 6 Supreme Court judges in the Supreme Court. Next one was the lasting impact of the New Deal. We'll say that it was somewhat successful. But really just make sure you guys understand that the New Deal was all about helping people in need. So what's going to happen is World War II is going to officially get us out of the Great Depression. However, these programs with the New Deal that FDR is creating is really going to provide that foundation for America to get out of the Great Depression once World War II hits and people go to the factories for jobs to produce all those products and supplies that America needs for the war. Number 21, FDR's New Deal legislation, such as the CCC, WPA, and TVA, overall goal was to create jobs. So those are all creating jobs. 22, what finally helped out the United States, or what helped pull the United States out of the Great Depression? That was World War II, like I just said. Number 23, after the stock market crash, how did President Hoover try to help? This is kind of redundant, but he didn't. He didn't. He was all about, remember, rugged individualism. And I've said that a couple times. Rugged individualism. So make sure you guys got that one. Okay. Number 24, when the Great Depression began, the most common economic relief supported by the Republican Party was to, this is really just to sit back, relax. We'll just put, what's a good way to say this? Maybe just that the economy will fix itself. They were firm believers in capitalism, so within capitalism, the market will just do itself. There's, as you guys study later, there's what they call an invisible hand on the market, and this invisible hand will just do what it needs to do. The economy will fix itself. No reason to worry. Don't worry about it. But as we can see, there was a huge reason to worry. So they were wrong. 25, what were the 3 goals of the New Deal? So these are the 3 R's. 3 R's. So we have relief, reform, and recovery. So they want a relief, basically help with money, by sending people relief. They want to reform the government, change it into something different, and they want to make sure that the economy can recover from the devastation that it was experiencing. Number 26, how were Hoover and Roosevelt different? Well, Hoover, people should help themselves, while FDR believed that the government, I did that twice, 3 times. FDR believed that people, or that we'll just say that the government should help those that are in need. Okay, so let's change that. Going down to this section is you're gonna have to draw these pictures with the letters that we did in class to help you memorize these, and I recommend that you guys do these at least 3 or 4 times just to make sure you guys feel solid with all these New Deal programs. These New Deal programs will be on the test, so if I were you, I would not ignore these. Make sure you got these. Make sure you have a really good understanding of these programs. So for the purposes of the video, I'm not going to draw the picture. You'll have to look at your notes for that, but I will go ahead and type in the programs names. And what I'll do is I'll just to make it faster, I'll type in the acronym. I won't do the full name, but I'll say the full name for you guys so you guys can hear it. So for this first one, the New Deal program that employed single men ages 18 to 25 for the natural resource conservation. This is going to be the CCC, okay, or the Civilian Construction Corporation. Next one, this New Deal program guaranteed bank deposits up to $2,500. Now the amount is $250,000. This is the FDIC, or the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. The next one, this New Deal program built hydroelectric plants and dams. Remember, when you guys draw, make sure you guys remember that the V is going to be a dam. So these plants and dams aimed at improving 7 southern states and attracting industry to the south. This is the TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority. The next one, this New Deal program reduced agricultural surplus and raised prices for struggling farmers. Your key for this one is going to be the word agricultural. So this is going to be the AAA, or the Agricultural Adjustment Act. This New Deal program granted federal money to state and local governments to be used to help the unemployed. This one's a little tricky one. This one, I find this one is I think the hardest one for students to remember, but it's the FERA, the Federal Emergency Relief Administration. Next one, this New Deal program hired 8.5 million workers, and they built miles of highways, roads, public buildings, and parks, and it also employed artists and writers. That's, I think, the key point there, artists and writers. So this is going to the WPA, Works Progress Administration. Next one, this New Deal program was hands-on industry. Hands-on industry. Hands-on. It controlled industrial production and prices, and created codes for fair competition. This is the NRA, not the National Rifle Association, but the National Recovery Administration. This New Deal program provided unemployment, or did not provide unemployment, it provided employment in construction of airports, parks, schools, roads. This federal government hired contractors who would then hire contractors. So this is the Public Works Administration, PWA. The next one, very similar, however, this one is going to hire workers directly, and that is the Civil Works Administration, the CWA. This New Deal program regulated the stock market to avoid dishonest practices, the Security Exchange Commission. This New Deal program provided some security for the elderly. It also provided welfare for those that are in need. This is the Social Security Act. And the last one, this New Deal program organized industrial unions, skilled and unskilled workers. This is the CIO. For this one's not going to find its way in the test, but you may want to know this. You may want to know this. Perhaps it may be like an extra credit question or something. So that's it. So this is the last test of the semester. Make sure you guys study for this one, and let me know if you guys have any questions.